Hi guys, Paul from Journey of a Petrolhead on the test drive of the Mercedes SL280, the 00 version that we have on loan today. This is the 200 horsepower version and we're trying to see what she looks like. She's a 10-year-old car with a straight 6-cylinder engine that replaced the old 3-litre engine in the SL300. So what do we think of this car? We think, first of all, we think she's very, very smooth to drive. It really doesn't have the forceful acceleration that some of the hard sports cars have, but very, very nice suspension. Really reminds me of the older E-Class on which she's based actually, and it's a nice, the view all around is fantastic. The mirrors are nice and big, you have a nice big windscreen, and the rear window, the rear window is huge because it's designed as a convertible. We have a hardtop fitted to this one today, so there's lots and lots of space. You can see everything very easily. The driving position is nice. There's lots and lots of leg room. There's lots of room for the cameraman, and the controls are all simple. You can actually get to the controls nice and easily, so it's all well within reach here. You can see what's going on. Now, 14 years old, the LCD display doesn't work quite as well as it used to, but you know what? I'd buy this in a flash because the quality is fantastic. Everything works. You know, it's nice action on everything. It's all the switches are here. There's a good feel of quality as there is in a general Mercedes. So we do. The actual acceleration from the start, we're not going to go too fast in this because we jerk the camera all around the place, but it does drive really, really nicely. And the handling, this is not the world's smoothest road, but the handling is really nice. Let's put the foot down just a little bit. And while it doesn't move along really, really rapidly in normal mode, it gets you in places. But there is a magic button. And if you follow my finger down here, there's a magic button. We have two switches on this. We have a W and we have an S.
I can't see it. Wait. Here. Okay.
We're now in sport mode. Let's see what sport mode does. Straight away, I can tell you the car has a different response immediately. As soon as I tap the accelerator, the back end sat down and she's taken off much faster. She's holding onto the gears much longer. She sounds much better actually. This is how I would probably drive this car in a normal way. This is much nicer in sport mode. I do like this. I'll put a little write up in the comments on the video to tell you exactly what it is the sport mode does, but I can tell you straight away she's holding the gears longer, which is nice. Now, a couple of things to watch out for on these cars. Being a convertible, when you buy one, you do want to check that the roof doesn't actually leak. That's the start. You want to check the rear windows is in good condition. If there's a hardtop, you want to check it fits properly. It's a little wind noisy in here. That's as expected. I wouldn't worry about that too much. But the car itself, it won't leak. You can tell that because the interior is absolutely spotless. There's no water damage anywhere. Fuel economy on these things then is reasonable, albeit not brilliant, but at the moment it's telling me I'm getting 40 miles to the gallon, which is quite interesting. So 2.8 petrol, I wouldn't be buying this if I wanted to save money. I'd be buying something smaller like a 208 GTI or something like that, which you probably get for about the same money. But what you won't get in that is this level of finish and fit. I mean, there's little storage areas everywhere. There's passenger airbags, there's side airbags, there's speakers in the doors, there's speakers all over the place. This car is really, really well finished and equipped as you would expect from a Mercedes when they were built properly. So the quality of this is really, really nice. I would strongly consider one of these. We'd be very interested to see how she actually scores on the Petrolhead ratings actually compared to some of the more modern hatchbacks we've had, like the 208 for example, or the Hyundai i30. Or even that older Jaguar S-Type we reviewed recently. That was a 2007 model, so this predates that by 7 years. To be honest, I actually prefer the cabin of this one. I like the wood effect on the steering wheel. I think it's really, really nice. I like the feel of the wheel. I like the driver's seat. It's nice and comfortable. There's good support. I can't move the lumbar support, but I can move it in various other ways. Backwards and forwards, it just moves straight away. I can tilt the back. All quite comfortable. No lumbar support, as I said, but I don't need it. This actually, it's one of those seats that makes you feel nice and comfy as I'm driving and as I'm sitting, which is important. I could see this being really, really good for long drives, a real grand tourer about this, a real air of that. And again, I've left it in sport mode and it takes off from the line instantly. So I much prefer sport mode in this actually, and that's how I would drive it in sport mode. A word on suspension, it's not rock solid suspension. It's not the hardest suspension I've ever come across, which is what you want. You don't particularly want hard rock solid suspension in a Mercedes. We've just gone through a speed bump or a pothole just there. It dipped slightly, but it didn't cause any problems. You'll notice that all the dials too are working very nicely. She's idling at about 8,000 revs, and we've good temperature. I like the fact that there's two temperature gauges here, as I spoke about earlier. So we've got a water temperature gauge and an oil temperature gauge, and it's nice that we can see the two separately and individually, which is unusual actually. In most cars you don't get the second dial, and the oil temperature dial was only added later in life. It used to be an oil pressure dial when this car was first made. I think I prefer oil temperature, to be honest, but Mercedes decided in their wisdom to give me an oil temperature gauge afterwards. Now, another point on this is how dial information should be presented to a driver, okay? Maybe we don't need the manual or the analog MPG dial. Maybe we don't need that anymore. Maybe trip computers can give us that. But these two temperature gauges, this is what I want. The XF that I drive every day has absolutely no temperature gauge. I have no idea what temperature the car is. So I can't wait until it's warmed up to drive it well, because I don't know when it's warmed up. I have to go by how I'm feeling in the car. Don't particularly like that in the XF. That's a real failing in that car. I do like what I have here in front of me. My only complaint really is this clock is way over here. A bit of a shame. It'd be nicer if the clock was somewhere in the middle so everybody could see it. But other than that, this is a nice place to be. Again, as I said in the interior video, she's got the Mercedes stock system, which takes a bit of getting used to, but it's nice and tidy. We haven't got controls all over the place. We have no buttons on the steering wheel whatsoever, which is unusual in this modern day and age. The radio is right here, so I don't need a button here when the radio is right there. I don't need it. I can reach the radio. There's no hassle. So everything is nice and falls at hand, even though it's not swung in towards the driver. All in all, I find this quite a nice little comfortable car to drive. I like the fact that the controls are tidy in a Mercedes. I've given out about these stalks that control the lights and the wipers in the past, but in actual fact, yeah, I quite like them in this. They're not bad now at all. I don't really think there's much else to say about this particular one. The whole road holding is great. The 17-inch wheels, actually, we should comment on those real quick. The road noise is minimal, and there's good tyres on this, so if there's going to be noise, we'd hear it. But the grip is nice, the suspension is nice, it's all quite forgiving. We're going to go around the roundabout now, let's see how that goes in terms of stability. And sure enough, she leans a little bit because it's not rock solid sport suspension, but it handles quite nicely. The turn-in is quite sharpened for such a long car. The power steering is nicely weighted when you're going around the roundabout, when you're trying to park as well, because we were playing with the parking with this earlier. The power steering was nicely weighted for the parking. My only complaint is on the rear visibility. I have absolutely no idea where the back end of the car stops. I can't see from here because the rollover hoop swings up slightly at the back of the seat, so the bottom of the window is a little high when I have the hard top fitted. The soft top will be different. I can fold the roof down and the tonneau cover just folds completely flat. We'll put some photographs of that in the video and show you how this car looks with the roof folded. But parking this could be a little tricky just to judge where that bumper actually ends. It's not quite as straightforward as we'd like it to be. Okay, so as always guys, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching this video. And what we'll do now is we will jump to the conclusion video of the Mercedes SL200. I'm actually curious to see now how this scores, because we've done some more modern cars recently, but we've also done older cars like that 2007 S-Type I mentioned. I'm curious to see how this scores against the S-Type. My initial feeling is I might prefer this slightly, because I actually think the layout here is cleaner. But let's see, click on the next video and find out, and don't forget, like and subscribe. Thanks as always.